Vladivostok, lit ruler of the East, is a city in the administrative center of Primorsky Krai, Russia, located at the head of the Golden Horn Bay, not far from Russia's borders with China and North Korea. The population of the city, according to the 2010 census, is 592,034, down from 594,701 recorded in the 2002 census. The city is the home port of the Russian Pacific Fleet and the largest Russian port on the Pacific Ocean. Names: the name Vladivostok loosely translates from Russian as the ruler of the East, a name similar to vlədģī (vlədģīvs), which means the ruler of the Caucasus. In Chinese, the city was known since the Qing dynasty as Nwci. In modern-day China, it is known by the transliteration vlədģī to a car, although its historical Chinese name Nwci is still often used. The Japanese name of the city is Vlədģɪvstoku. In Korean, the name is transliterated as Vladivostok in South Korea, Vlədģīvstoktokha in North Korea, and Vlədģīvstoku by Koreans in China. Geography: the city is located in the southern extremity of Primorsky Peninsula, which is about 30 kilometers long and approximately 12 kilometers wide. The highest point is Mount Kuladilnik, the height of which is 257 meters. Eagle's Nest Hill is often called the highest point of the city. However, with the height of only 199 meters, or 214 meters according to other sources, it is the highest point of the downtown area, but not of the whole city. History: the aboriginals of the territory on which modern Vladivostok is located are the Udaj minority, and a sub-minority called the Tars, which emerged through members of the indigenous Udaj mixing with the nearby Chinese and Hes. The region had been part of many states, such as the Mo, Bali, Zhaoan dynasty, Yuan dynasty, and various other Chinese dynasties, before Russia acquired the entire maritime province and the island of Sakhalin by the Treaty of Beijing. Qing China, which had just lost the Opium War with Britain, was unable to defend the region. The Pacific coast near Nwci was settled mainly by the Chinese and Manchus during the Qing dynasty period. A French whaler visiting the Golden Horn Bay in 1852 discovered Chinese or Manchu village fishermen on its shore. The Manchus banned Han Chinese from most of Manchuria including the Nwci. It was only visited by illegal gatherers of sea cucumbers. On June 20, 1860, the military supply ship Mancha, under the command of Captain Lieutenant Alexei K. Scherfner, called at the Golden Horn Bay to found an outpost called Vladivostok. Warrant Officer Nikolai Komarov with 28 soldiers and 2 non-commissioned officers under his command were brought from Nikolaevsk-on-Amur by ship to construct the first buildings of the future city. The Vanza War in 1868 was the first attempt by Russia to expel Chinese from territory it controlled. Hostilities broke out around Vladivostok when the Russians tried to shut off gold mining operations and expel Chinese workers there. The Chinese resisted a Russian attempt to take Ashold Island, and in response, 2 Russian military stations and 3 Russian towns were attacked by the Chinese, and the Russians failed to oust the Chinese. An elaborate system of fortifications was erected between the 1870s and 1890s. A telegraph line from Vladivostok to Shanghai and Nagasaki was opened in 1871, the year when a commercial port was relocated here from Nikolaevsk-on-Amur. Town status was granted on April 22, 1880. A coat of arms, representing the Siberian tiger, was adopted in March 1883. The first high school was opened in 1899. The city's economy was given a boost in 1916, with the completion of the Trans-Siberian Railway, which connected Vladivostok to Moscow and Europe. In the wake of the October Revolution, Vladivostok was of great military importance for the Far Eastern Republic, the provisional primary government, and the Allied intervention, consisting of foreign troops from Czechoslovakia, Japan, the United States, British, Canada, and other nations. The Czechoslovak Legion conquered the city in 1918 and waited for foreign reinforcements. The Japanese forces arrived in April 1918, followed by British soldiers in May, Americans in June, and later other French and Canadian soldiers. They found in Siberia an open warfare going on between the Bolsheviks on one side and the Czechoslovak legions and White Russians on the other. Czechoslovak Legion, exhausted by their long trek across Siberia and eager to return to their new nation, returned via port of Vladivostok to Czechoslovakia. All Allied forces were evacuated by 1920, apart from the Japanese who stayed until 1922 January. 600 Chinese troops also intervened in response to a request by the Chinese community in the area for aid. The taking of the city by Yerenym Ubirevik's Red Army on October 25, 1922 marked the end of the Russian Civil War. As the main naval base of the Soviet Pacific Fleet, Vladivostok was officially closed to foreigners during the Soviet years. The city hosted the summit at which Leonid Brezhnev and Gerald Ford conducted the strategic arms limitation talks in 1974. At the time, the two countries decided quantitative limits on various nuclear weapons systems and banned the construction of new land-based ICBM launchers. In 2012, Vladivostok hosted the 24th APEC summit. Leaders from the APEC member countries met at Russky Island, off the coast of Vladivostok. With the summit on Russky Island, the government and private businesses inaugurated resorts, dinner and entertainment facilities, in addition to the renovation and upgrading of Vladivostok International Airport. Two giant cable-stayed bridges were built in preparation for the summit, namely the Zolotoy Rog Bridge over the Zolotoy Rog Bay in the center of the city, and the Russky Island Bridge from the mainland to Russky Island. The new campus of Far Eastern Federal University will be completed on Russky Island by 2012. Politics. Head of the city of Vladivostok on the principles of unity of command directs the administration of the city of Vladivostok in accordance with federal laws, the laws of the Primorsky Krai and the charter of the city. The structure of the city administration said city council by the head. The structure of the administration of the city of Vladivostok may include the territorial bodies of administration of the city of Vladivostok. The responsibilities of the administration of the city of Vladivostok are exercise of the powers to address local issues of Vladivostok in accordance with federal laws, normative legal acts of the Duma of Vladivostok, decrees and orders of the head of the city of Vladivostok. The development and organization of the concepts, plans and programs for the development of the city, approved by the Duma of Vladivostok. Development of the draft budget of the city of Vladivostok. Ensuring implementation of the budget of the city of Vladivostok. Control the use of territory and infrastructure of the city of Vladivostok. Possession, use and disposal of municipal property in the manner specified by decision of the Duma of Vladivostok. Other authority in accordance with Article 6 of the Charter, as well as powers delegated by federal law, the laws of the jurisdiction of Primorsky Krai executive and administrative body of the local government of city district. Legislative authority is vested in the city council. The new city council began operations in 2001. June 21 – Deputies of the Duma of the first convocation of Vladivostok started work. On December 17, 2007 Duma of the third convocation began. The deputies consists of 35 elected members, including 18 members were chosen by a single constituency, and 17 deputies from single-mandate constituencies. Administrative and municipal status, Vladivostok is the administrative center of the Krai. Within the framework of administrative divisions, it is, together with 5 rural localities, incorporated as Vladivostok City under Krai jurisdiction, an administrative unit with the status equal to that of the districts. As a municipal division, Vladivostok City under Krai jurisdiction is incorporated as Vladivostoksky Urban Okrug. Climate: Vladivostok has a monsoon-influenced humid continental climate with warm, humid and rainy summers and cold, dry winters. Owing to the influence of the Siberian high, winters are far colder than a latitude of 43 degrees north should warrant given its low elevation and coastal location, with a January average of a 12.3 degrees Celsius. In winter, temperatures can drop below a 20 degrees Celsius while mild spells of weather can raise daytime temperatures above freezing. The average precipitation, mainly in the form of snow, is around 18.5 mm from December to March. Snowfall is common during the winter months, but individual snowfalls are light, with a maximum snow depth of only 5 cm in January. During the winter months, clear and sunny days are common. Summers are warm, humid and rainy, due to the East Asian monsoon. The warmest month is August, with an average temperature of plus 19.8 degrees Celsius. Most of the precipitation that Vladivostok receives falls during the summer months and with many days receiving precipitation. Cloudy days are fairly common and with the presence of rainfall, humidity is high, reaching up to 90% in July and August. Overall, Vladivostok receives 840 mm per year, but this can vary. The wettest month was August 1943 when 418 mm of precipitation fell, while the wettest year was in 1974 with 1,272 mm of precipitation. On the other end, the months December to March have no precipitation at all in some years, and the driest year was 1990 with only 244 mm. Extremes range from a 31.4 degrees Celsius in January 1931 to plus 33.6 degrees Celsius in July 1939. Demographics. The population of the city, according to the 2010 census, is 592,034, down from 594,701 recorded in the 2002 census. This is further down from 633,838 recorded in the 1989 census. Ethnic Russians and Ukrainians make up the majority of the population. Economy. The city's main industries are shipping, commercial fishing, and the naval base. Fishing accounts for almost 4/5 of Vladivostok's commercial production. Other food production totals 11%. A very important employer and a major source of revenue for the city's inhabitants is the import of Japanese cars. Besides salesmen, the industry employs repairmen, fitters, import clerks as well as shipping and railway companies. The Vladivostok dealers sell 250,000 cars a year, with 200,000 going to other parts of Russia. Every third worker in the Primorsky Krai has some relation to the automobile import business. In recent years, the Russian government has made attempts to improve the country's own car industry. This has included raising tariffs for imported cars, which has put the car import business in Vladivostok in difficulties. To compensate, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin ordered the car manufacturing company Solas to move one of its factories from Moscow to Vladivostok. The move was completed in 2009, and the factory now employs about 700 locals. It is planned to produce 13,200 cars in Vladivostok in 2010. Transportation. Vladivostok is the starting point of Usheri Highway to Khabarovsk, the easternmost part of Trans-Siberian Highway that goes all the way to Moscow and St. Petersburg via Novosibirsk. The other main highways go east to Nikolajka and south to Kazan. The Trans-Siberian Railway was built to connect European Russia with Vladivostok, Russia's most important Pacific Ocean port. Finished in 1905, the rail line ran from Moscow to Vladivostok via several of Russia's main cities. Part of the railroad, known as the Chinese Eastern Line, crossed over into Manchuria, China, passing through Harbin, a major city in Manchuria. During the Soviet era, Vladivostok's status as a closed city meant that ferry passenger tourists arriving from Japan to travel the Trans-Siberian Railway westbound had to embark in Nikolajka. Today, Vladivostok serves as the main starting point for the Trans-Siberian portion of the Eurasian land bridge. Air routes connect Vladivostok International Airport with Japan, China, South Korea, North Korea and Vietnam. It is possible to get to Vladivostok from several of the larger cities in Russia. Regular flights to Seattle, Washington, were available in the 1990s but have been cancelled since. Vladivostok Air resumed flying to Anchorage, Alaska, in July 2008. Urban transportation. On June 28, 1908, Vladivostok's first tram line was started along Svetlanskaya Street, running from the railway station on Lugavaya Street. On October 9, 1912, the first wooden cars manufactured in Belgium entered service. Today, Vladivostok's means of public transportation include trolleybus, bus, tram, train, funicular, ferryboat and cutter. The main urban traffic lines are City Centre Eurovtoraya Reka, City Centre Europavaya Reka Euro 3 Rabachaya Vlədģīva, and City Centre Lugavaya Street. In 2012, Vladivostok hosted the 24th summit of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. In preparation for the event, the infrastructure of the city was renovated and improved. 2 giant cable-stayed bridges were constructed in Vladivostok, namely the Zolotoy Rog Bridge over the Golden Horn Bay in the center of the city, and the Russky Bridge from the mainland to Russky Island, where the summit took place. The latter bridge is the longest cable-stayed bridge in the world. Port. Founded as a military outpost by Russia in 1860, the port of Vladivostok's geographic location made it an important strategic base for Russia's navy. In 1872 the port of Vladivostok began to grow when the country's main naval base was located there. The port of Vladivostok is the eastern last stop on Russia's Northern Sea route that stretches from the country's northwestern shores at the border of Norway. It is the principal base for supplies for Russia's Arctic ports to the east of Cape Chelyabinsk. The arrival of the Chinese Eastern Railway in 1903 connected the port of Vladivostok to Manchuria and gave the port a better connection to the rest of the Russian Empire and enhanced its importance as a major center in eastern Russia. The port of Vladivostok was important as a military port that received supplies from the United States during World War I. When the Russian Revolution of 1917 began, the port of Vladivostok was occupied by foreign forces, primarily the Japanese, who stayed there until the early 1920s. After they left the city, the port of Vladivostok became important to the new Soviet government. The port of Vladivostok continued to be the home of Russia's Pacific Fleet after the USSR took control. It grew considerably after World War II as a military base, and the port of Vladivostok was closed to foreign shipping between 1952 and 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. After the fall of communism in Russia, the port of Vladivostok emerged as a commercial port with links to other eastern Russian ports as well as countries of the Far East. It began to import consumer goods from Japan, China, and other nations. The port is ice-free all year round, and in 2002 had a foreign trade turnover worth $275 million. Education. Vladivostok is home to numerous educational institutions, including 5 universities, Far Eastern Federal University, Maritime State University, Far Eastern State Technical Fisheries University, Vladivostok State University of Economics and Service, Vladivostok State Medical University, the Presidium of the Far Eastern Division of the Russian Academy of Sciences as well as 10 of its research institutes are also located in Vladivostok, as is the Pacific Research Institute of Fisheries and Oceanography. Media. Over 50 newspapers and regional editions to Moscow publications are issued in Vladivostok. The largest newspaper of the Primorsky Krai and the whole Russian Far East is Vladivostok with a circulation of 124,000 copies at the beginning of 1996. Its founder, joint stock company Vladivostok News, also issues a weekly English-language newspaper Vladivostok News. Another source of information on the city is the online daily Vladivostok Times. The subjects of the publications issued in these newspapers vary from information around Vladivostok and Primory to major international events. Newspaper Zolotoy Rog gives every detail of economic news. Entertainment materials and cultural news constitute a larger part of Novosti newspaper, which is the most popular among Primory's young people. Also, new online mass media about Russian Far East for foreigners Far East Times. This source invites everyone to take part in informational support of RFE for visitors, travelers and businessmen. Vladivostok operates many online media, NEWSVL, Prima Media, Primory 24, Vladtop, Breaking News Vladivostok. As of 1999, there are also 7 radio stations, the most popular being 24-hour VBC and Europa Plus. Europa Plus normally broadcasts popular modern British-American music, while the ratio of Russian and foreign songs over VBC is 50-50. Every hour one can hear local news over these radio stations. Radio Vladivostok operates from 0600 till 0100. It broadcasts several special programs which are devoted to the music of the 1950s, 1980s as well as New Age. Russian rock band My Troll hails from Vladivostok and frequently puts on shows there. In addition, the city played host to the now legendary Vladivostok International Music Festival in September 1996. Hosted by the mayor and governor, and organized by two young American expatriates, the festival drew nearly 10,000 people and top-tier musical acts from St. Petersburg and Seattle, as well as several leading local bands. It is the nearest city to the massive Sakhalin meteorite, which fell on February 12, 1947, in the Sakhalin Mountains, approximately 440 kilometers northeast of Vladivostok. Culture, theater. Maxim Gorky Academic Theater, named after Russian author, Maxim Gorky, was founded in 1931 and is used for drama, musical and children's theater performances. In September 2012, a granite statue of actor Yul Brynner was inaugurated in Yul Brynner Park, directly in front of the house where he was born at 15 Aleitskaya Street. Museums. The Arsenyev Primorsky Museum, opened in 1890, is the main museum of the Primorsky Krai. Besides the main facility, it has 3 branches in Vladivostok itself, and 5 branches elsewhere in the Krai. Among the items in the museum's collection are the famous 15th-century Yongning Temple steles from the Lower Amur. There is a beautiful new opera and ballet theater. Pollution. Local ecologists from the Ecocenter organization have claimed that much of Vladivostok's suburbs are polluted and that living in them can be classified as a health hazard. The pollution has a number of causes, according to Ecocenter geochemical expert Sergei Shlikov. Vladivostok has about 80 industrial sites, which may not be many compared to Russia's most industrialized areas, but those around the city are particularly environmentally unfriendly, such as shipbuilding and repairing, power stations, printing, fur farming and mining. In addition, Vladivostok has a particularly vulnerable geography which compounds the effect of the pollution. Winds cannot clear pollution from some of the most densely populated areas around the Pavaya and Vtoraya Reka as they sit in basins which the winds blow over. In addition, there is little snow in winter and no leaves or grass to catch the dust to make it settle down. Sports. Vladivostok is home to the football club FC Luchenergia Vladivostok, who plays in the Russian First Division, ice hockey club Admiral Vladivostok from the Continental Hockey League's Chernihiv Division, and basketball club Spartak Primory, who plays in the Russian Basketball Super League. International relations. Twin towns and sister cities. Vladivostok is twinned with notable people. See also, 32nd Rifle Division, List of East Asian ports, references, notes. Sources: th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th 3/4 th degree nth micron th noeth 1/2 th 3/4 th micron th 3/4 th plus or minus n euro th degree th 1/2 th micron thin euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro nth 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree nath th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 aa minus 161 th shth, a th 3/4 and 14 th 1/2. Th 3/4 nth plus or minus n euro n 2001 th cubed. A th plus or minus th degree th 1/4 th 1/2 th n on euro th degree nth squared th 1/2 th 3/4 nth micron n euro th n th 3/4 n euro th degree th noeth 1/2 th 3/4 th 1/4 n florin n on euro th 3/4 th to the first n nth squared th micron thin euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro nth 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree na th squared n euro th micron th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th degree a minus 331 th shth. th 3/4 and 19 th micron th degree th plus or minus n euro n 2013 th cubed aa th plus or minus th 1/4 th micron th 1/2 th micron th 1/2 th degree n th micron th cubed th 3/4 n euro th 3/4 n n th degree th cubed th 3/4 n euro th 3/4 th n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 n th degree th 3/4 n euro th 1/2 n th to the first th 3/4 th n euro th micron th 3/4 th plus or minus n euro th degree th 3/4 th squared th degree th 1/2 th 3/4 n euro th 1/2 th micron th 1/2 n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 n euro th 3/4 th n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th 3/4 n th micron th micron th 1/2 th n th squared n th 3/4 th n n per mil th micron th cubed th 3/4 th squared n th 3/4 n n th degree th squared th sh th n euro th 3/4 th squared n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th 1/4 n florin th 1/2 th n th degree th knoweth 1/2 th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 n euro th degree th to the first th 3/4 th 1/2 th degree in euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree n th squared th 1/2 th micron n th micron th 1/2 th 1/4 th micron th 1/2 th micron th 1/2 th to the first th squared th 3/4 n th micron th knoweth 1/2 n th micron th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th 3/4 th degree n th micron th knoweth 1/2 n th micron th degree th n nth in euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree n a th n florin th squared n th n florin a n th 3/4 th 1/2 n th 3/4 n th n th degree th knoweth 1/2 th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th 3/4 th n florin th plus or minus th 3/4 th squared th degree th 1/2 th n florin th plus or minus th 3/4 th squared th degree th 1/2 th sh n euro th degree n th 1/2 th 3/4 th micron th 1/2 th degree th 1/4 nth in euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro no n a minus 69, 29 th 1/2 th 3/4 n th plus or minus n euro n 2001 th cubed, th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th 3/4 th degree n th micron th knoweth 1/2 th 3/4 th micron th 3/4 th plus or minus n euro th degree th 1/2 th micron thin euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree n a th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 aa minus 179 th sh th a th 3/4 and 6 th micron th degree th plus or minus n euro n 2004 th cubed a th degree th squared th 3/4 nn th 3/4 thn th 3/4 th 1/4 th cubed th 3/4 n euro th 3/4 thn th 3/4 th 1/4 th 3/4 thn euro n florin th cubed th micro th squared n euro th micron th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th degree a minus 48 th th 3/4 and 7 thn th 1/2 n 2012 th cubed aa th squared th 1/2 th micron n th micron th 1/2 th 1/4 th micron th 1/2 th micron th 1/2 th to the first th squared th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 in euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 thn euro th degree n th degree th squared th 3/4 nn th 3/4 thn th 3/4 th 1/4 th cubed th 3/4 n euro th 3/4 thn th 3/4 th 1/4 th 3/4 thn euro n florin th cubed th micron ath n florin th squared n n florin a1 an th 1/2 th squared th degree n euro n 2005 a th cubed th n florin th plus or minus th 3/4 th squared th degree th 1/2 th micron th 3/4 th 1/4 th 3/4 nn th degree th 3/4 th 1/2 th 3/4 th degree n th micron th noeth 1/2 th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th 3/4 th plus or minus n euro th degree th 1/2 th nth in euro th 1/4 th 3/4 n euro n th 3/4 th cubed th 3/4 th n euro th degree n a minus 76 7 th micron th degree th plus or minus n euro n 2004 th cubed. Vlədģīvskock, Edith. M. The Siberian Sojourn Junkers, N.Y., Potsdam, Tatiana Z. 2004. Foreign citizens in the cities of the Russian Far East. Vladivostok, Dalnorka, 2004. 316p, Stefan, John 1994. The Far East a History. Stanford, Stanford University Press, 1994. 481p. Trofimov, Vladimir A.L., 1992, Old Vladivostok. Utro-Russia Vladivostok, ISBN 5-87080-004-8, external links, official website of Vladivostok, unofficial website of Vladivostok, panoramic views of Vladivostok, Vladivostok City Travel Guide, historical map of Vladivostok, Perry Castor plus or minus Eda Library Map Collection, University of Texas, Austin. Time-lapse video of Vladivostok.